Okay folks, today's guests don't just roll dice, they roll deep. They're creative world builders, story weavers, community makers and spellcasters behind Red Wizard Adventures. Based on the Far Coast but building dreams far beyond it, Rosy and James are bringing fantasy tabletop RPGs to life in ways that go way beyond the rulebooks. From battling dragons to boosting well-being, their immersive sessions create something really special, not just for die-hard D&D veterans, but for anyone who's ever wanted to step into a story and truly feel like they belong. So whether you're a bard at heart, a nervous newbie, or a lifelong dungeon master, this one's for you. We're diving into creativity, community, and a little bit of chaos, because that's what adventure's all about. So grab your dice, sharpen your wit, and get ready to be inspired by the duo redefining what it means to play and connect in 2025. Let's give a huge welcome to the Dad Poet Society podcast and to the members behind Red Wizard Gaming. It's Rosy and James, although James has been called off on arcane duties, right?
He has. He has.
Welcome, Rosy.
Today. Hello. How are we doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
I've been excited to do this one. Just ever since I got in touch with you and I saw your poster for your event that we're going to talk about a little later on. But I thought we'd perhaps go in with an icebreaker just to get people introduced to you properly, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
As I did earlier, this question is for anyone that's ever walked past and seen your sign at the end of the alley or on the gate and wondered, what the hell goes on in that shop? What's all that about? Can you explain to me in about 20 seconds what Red Wizard is?
Oh, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
So Red Wizard is our little baby that we've created. The name actually comes from our actual babies. We have Scarlet, who's our eldest, and Merlin, who's our youngest. Amazing. So that is why we are Red Wizard. And we are here trying to bring that creative and immersive and inclusive space. We have the gaming shop element, but we also wanted to make sure we've got a space to bring families, somewhere they can come and they can have generational learning where they get to learn from each other, get back into a hobby they might have fallen out of as parents, and then also get kids who are just wants to be able to be really creative and play and go a bit chaotic in Amazing. A nice safe environment.
That was, I don't think, well, I think I put you a really hard challenge of getting that in 20 seconds, but it doesn't matter because you explained it eloquently and beautifully. How did this all begin?
So it's a bit of a weird one how it all began, actually. So for me, I've always been gamey. I've always loved gaming. And then as I've got older, it wasn't until I got quite a bit older that I started playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
That kind of crept in later. And when I started playing at the time, I was working at a nurture centre at a high school.
Yeah.
My background is working with kids. I've worked with kids for nearly 20 years. Working in education, and I was playing myself and loved it and started to find all these connections to do with learning about how to navigate life, how to learn about yourself, all of that tied into everything that I was doing in my job and everything that I was passionate about in my job. I then myself, I ended up not really functioning very well in my job. Found out I actually had ADHD, and found myself being part of this very neurodiverse community that I knew I was always part of, but then everything clicked.
It made sense to you one day, right? Something happened and it made sense to you. Yeah, I feel that.
And then I left my job working in the school, working for the man, and I set up a little company called the Print Dungeon. And I toured around the country working at conventions, bringing gaming space to conventions, but also selling like dice and other gaming items and all sorts of nerdy jewellery. I make candles with my own little edge to it.
Cool.
You see where the ADHD comes here. All the little extra things that I need to do.
New projects all the time.
All the projects, every single project. And then me and James were talking about how eventually we'd love to have a space that we could eventually become a sort of alternative space for learning.
Yeah.
That is a big part of what we want to do.
Yeah.
Then we found this building up for rent, and it kind of fell into place very much a lot quicker than what we thought things would happen.
Yeah.
And we ended up here with our little shop. We sell some things online as well, but we have this amazing space where we can bring all the games to life. I get to work a lot with the home educational community now.
Oh, cool.
Which is great because I'm still doing that education side that I love and that I am passionate about alongside it, with the aim and goal that in however many years it takes us to be able to have accredited learning courses that are all centred around gaming.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it brings so much to our community. There's so many kids out there that want to do extracurricular activities that aren't necessarily sport based.
Yeah.
And this is something that can help coax those kids out of their shells and give them a really safe space.
Yeah. From working in schools and stuff for a long time and education myself, a lot of their extracurricular options revolve around like sport or things that your sort of normal, regular, mainstream kids won't struggle to just go and have a go. Like everybody wants to play footy with the lads, but unless you're not everybody. So for those kids who aren't everybody, we need to create a space for them. So I already love what you're doing there.
Exactly.
And I really click with that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And this is our hometown. St Anne's is mine and James's hometown. We've both grown up around here.
Right.
And we have reminisced as kids that we had a skate park on the promenade, and Steady Eddie's was the arcade next to it, and that's where all the alternative kids would hang out.
Yeah.
That's not there anymore.
No.
And there was never a space like this. There was never a space that kids that wanted to do something different and enjoy could go, which is also why we wanted it to be in our hometown.
Yeah. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. Yeah, no, I love that. I love the vision and the mission of it, and I just love the place in your heart that it comes from, because like I've experienced that too. I've been the kid with nowhere to go. I've been the adult with kids saying I'm into this but there's nowhere to do it, and you have to go, I think you're right, there's nowhere to do that at the minute, let's try and have a look. So finding local places on our doorstep for those interests and to promote that passion and that community side of things is amazing and very important.
Exactly. And I know I've talked about kids a lot here, but we also have very adult-centred environment times as well.
Yeah.
So our evenings, unless they're stated otherwise, are always 14 plus.
Right.
Anyone under the age of 18 that's coming along needs to have an adult with them. It is a adult space at that time, unless we're doing a special event that states otherwise.
Yeah.
We need to be able to go full pirate and enjoy, just being able to be comfortable in a space as adults too. I think that's really important. So
that's it. It's not all just about, the kids, obviously I believe that the children are the future.
Yep.
Sorry,
nice
just
little line there.
pause so that everybody knows what I did. But yeah, no, the adults are, like, speaking again from experience, struggle to find places to do cool social stuff that's a bit niche. So they're popping up, and they're popping up fast, and it's because of people like you getting together and saying, let's just make this happen.
Yeah.
And I just think that's fantastic. That's really good. Hey folks, it's me, Dad Poet. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I know it sounds cheesy, but it does kind of help me out in the algorithm and all that kind of digital stuff. So yeah, if you do that, that'd be awesome. Anyway, back to the episode. Enjoy. So you didn't discover D&D until later on, you were saying, right?
Yeah.
About what age-ish?
In my 30s.
In your 30s, right.
Yeah.
Just so that sets up this question that I wrote. Was it love at first critical hit, or did it take a few
Oh
rolls?
my goodness, absolutely.
All of the puns.
I started playing and I was obsessed, and I just wanted to play more and more and more. Yeah. I was very, very lucky to get welcomed into a group that was actually through my brother.
Okay.
And his group of friends, and ended up playing with them long term. We're just actually in our final boss fight that we've been playing this game for about three and a half years, I think.
What?
It's been a long-term game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It's been a really long game. We've got a great dungeon master.
Okay.
He literally has done a whole homebrew thing,
That's
and it's
insane.
just been amazing.
I'm surprised. See, I've always known of Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm guilty of sort of growing up thinking, oh, that's nerdy, I like rap music and girls. But then, I got to my 20s and realised life wasn't going to give me what I wanted. But I've always been a nerd, and I've been that kind of person you described that left it because real life happened in your 20s. You get a job, you pay bills, like shit happens, it's rubbish.
I had my first baby when I was 21.
Yeah, so once real life takes the wheels, it's really hard to get it back.
Yeah.
So as an adult that's like sort of rediscovered my nerdy side, geeky side, whatever you want to call it, just that creative, passionate, the things that make you really happy that you forgot about.
Yeah.
Sort of rediscovering those, I think that's a really important thing for everyone to do. And I've always wanted to start playing D&D, but I'm one of these adults that didn't know where you could go to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I know a few places, including here, now my only problem is what night of the week could I try and fit it in around my real life grown up shit.
Exactly.
But what would you advise an adult in 2025 who's never rolled a dice before but fancies this idea of Dungeons and Dragons? What would you advise them to do if they want to start and have a go?
So I have many solutions for this.
Cool.
First of all, we as a space are extremely welcoming to any new players. I love having a game with new players because it allows me to get it wrong when I'm running a game.
Okay. Yeah.
But also because it allows me to teach those different mechanisms in a nice, slow way that people, you see the little light bulb moments when it twigs, which is amazing. I think the best thing to do with any kind of tabletop gaming is to play.
Just have a go.
Yeah, honestly, when you've played one of those games, one of that type of games, you start to learn how the rules interact with the dice rolling and how the roleplay side of it works and what you can do and what you can't do. There's not many things you can't do in a play game. It's kind of like breaking down past those barriers that you kind of hit in real life and being able to really have an experience of things that you wouldn't normally be able to do.
Yeah, like I feel like it's commonly... My only experience of D&D is actually just virtually through the game Baldur's Gate 3. Familiar with it?
Yeah,
so when someone said, "Yo, you want to play D&D?" Well, there's a game. You don't need friends. You can just play a game. So I got the game. And anyway, I think I'm about 600 hours deep in it on Steam. You can ask anyone that knows me. It took over my life for a long time, and I had no problem with that.
About 200 hours in character creation to start off with.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You got to, I'm not sure if I'm going to start the game with that one. I'll spend another 4 hours making a she-elf now. And what was my initial point? And one of the things I saw in forums a lot were people saying, "Look, this game's brilliant because if you can think about it, you can probably do it. Like if your task is to steal this item, it's behind that wall in this place. Any way you can think of getting there, you can probably do it if the dice are in your favour." And I love that side of it because a lot of there's so many rules in life, aren't there? My kids as well. Really, I want to learn to play D&D with them and for them because I know that they'll both love that open-ended side of it. Because the main thing they fight over is someone's breaking the rules. Well, if I can eliminate as many rules as I can and just be in charge of the few that remain, I think my kids will have a great time and learn to play together.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing as well, and it really opens their minds to be able to think about things bigger, to be able to really think, what can I do?
It's outside the box stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. And you find that a lot of the things that you do within roleplay gaming, although you might be entering a magic shop and bartering with someone for a crystal ball or a new potion or some kind of magical item, actually that translates into real life. Because a lot of kids as well, they've not maybe got out there and experienced things, or they're nervous too. We've got a lot of socially anxious young people and adults. And being able to be in a game where you can almost experience this other world but still do things that you would do.
Yeah, it's fantasy, but it's familiar. Yeah.
You might have to talk down some kind of ancient dragon from slaying a village.
Yeah.
Well, you don't always have to go straight into combat. You could be trying to talk them down. You're learning how to negotiate with someone.
Use charisma before strength.
Exactly. You go into a magic shop and... or you go into a magic shop in the game or a normal shop in real life, you're checking prices, this, that and the other. Yeah. There's certain things, so in the new D&D manual, there is a background where you end up with a feat that you get 20% off every non-magical item.
Okay, right.
So you go into a shop in the game, into a blacksmith's, and you're like, I want to buy that sword.
Yeah.
I've got to work out 20% off.
20% now.
You've
integrated
got that.
maths.
Yeah. You've got the maths integrated. Maths can be a big part, but I don't want anyone out there who doesn't like maths to think that it's an overwhelming part. Because it's something you can do as a group and team up.
I was scared of the maths, but it is, a lot of it is just, it's addition, isn't it? Just like, you got your notepad and a calculator, you should be all right, is what I figured. Yeah.
It's all quite, like, more basic stuff, but what you'll find as well is with the community that play, everyone is really helpful.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of in a bit of a start of, oh, I know I have to add this modifier to a dice roll.
Yeah.
We all help each other
Everybody
out. We're part of a team. There's no shame, no judgment here.
Yeah, 'cause it's not a competitive game as well. That I like that element of it too. Because competition, it's not for everyone.
No.
Again, it's something I end up telling my kids. Not everything's. You don't always have to win. Sometimes you just got to do. Just complete it. Like, and people are intimidated by competition, but it's not a race. No. It's. I tell this to them a lot, so I like that nature of it too. It's more collaborative, isn't it?
100%. You are a group of explorers and adventurers, and with pretty much every roleplay game that's the case, depending on what you're doing. So we play a lot of Call of Cthulhu, and in the case of that, you're a group of investigators, and so you're working together to some extent, but you're also role-playing a character that might have certain quirks or certain likes and dislikes that you can add. It adds a bit of a flavour twist into everything.
I guess this just entered my mind. So is the role-playing element, is that where the escapism probably comes in for a lot of people? Do you reckon? Yeah.
And everyone does it at different levels.
I was going to say, like, are some people quite reserved? Like, my character's going to be a human who's very similar to me, but then you might be sat next to someone who comes in and goes, I'm sick of being me all day. Yeah. I'm going to be whatever. Is that quite a common
It is.
theme?
It completely is. And it's all about, if you've got a good dungeon master, which I can absolutely vouch for all the dungeon masters we have here, or any games masters with any games, is that they are very good at putting themselves out there and doing accents or doing voices and really kind of setting a tone that it's okay to be silly. It's okay to get it wrong.
That's
it's
it.
okay
Let's get
to
lost
do
and
this.
dick about a bit.
Yeah, and actually then it's up to you. There's no pressure to do any of those things. Yeah. But when you see someone else doing them, sometimes
it's normalised it, isn't it?
There you are.
It's in the room. It's like, this dungeon master's getting funnier. Do you know what? I'm gonna next time. I understand that. That's good.
My Brummie accent seems to be an ongoing trial.
You got a Brummie accent? You had
No.
I see.
Roleplay Brummie accent.
Okay.
Which is a fan favourite at the moment.
Is it? I've got this question written in for later. In fact, I'll ask it now just because you touched on it. What makes a good dungeon/games master? Because it's a skill, isn't it, as well as a necessary role. What makes them great? Or if I wanted to do that, if I wanted to be the best dungeon master for my kids over the next few years, like, what do I need to learn and put into practice to be good at it, or anybody else?
You would do it every day. We tell stories all the time. We learn as kids to tell stories. We read stories. We hear stories all the time. Even if you're not into fictional stories, if you watch the news or or if you do anything, everything's a story. Life is a story. So what you're doing when you're being a dungeon master is that you're telling a story. That's the part of it. So anyone can do it. Anybody could start off being a games master or dungeon master. And as you do practice, that's where you pick up more skills and learn different ways of doing things. And then as a player, the more, if you want to become a dungeon master or a games master, sometimes it could be the more, the biggest variety of experience you can have. So if you can have lots of different people running games for you, you're going to pick up lots of different tips. You're going to magpie lots of different ideas from different people of how to run things and how to do things. It's all about experience, and it's all about trying.
Right. Don't be scared to just try.
Don't be scared to try at all. You're not going to get it wrong. You're not. Because even if you get something slightly messed up in the moment, you take a second, you take a breath. You're around a community of people that support each other. You take a minute, you regain yourself. Yeah. You know, if you think, oh, I've said the wrong name here, you know, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. We do that all the time in our
I think I
daily
read
lives.
somewhere as well, like you're in control anyway, so your players may
Yeah.
not know that you just made a boo-boo.
100%.
So you've got that on your side as well, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I just love that. I just love the premise of it, of just getting lost in an adventure, just however many people sat around a table using their imagination. So it's clear that you built something unique here that's going to keep growing over the next few years. I was going to ask you what inspired you to turn your personal passion into this full-blown experience. I think you've covered that, but if you want to shed any more light on your mission and things you want to do over the next few months or years, anything on that you want to go for it? Yeah, please.
So one of the favourite events that we do is a monthly night that I'm very, very passionate about, which is our women's group.
Cool.
So as a woman, someone that's, you know, femme-gendered, it can be harder to get into the gaming world.
I was thinking that you don't see many girls in this community. Yeah.
I think that's also a reason why I didn't end up playing tabletop gaming until I was a lot older. I've only just basically collected an amazing group of female and just friends, you know, that love gaming and love nerdy stuff. I'm trying to work out how to say this right, because I've got some amazing friends growing up, but I felt a bit like the odd one out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the friends that had the same interests as me and wanted to explore this path of like nerdiness.
Yeah.
So I have my women's night, which is once a month. We have grown and grown and grown in numbers.
That's amazing.
They are an absolutely amazing group of people. We get together, we play. Most of them around the table are brand new.
Right.
To D&D. So they are new players. They are people that have just started.
Yeah.
And they too were not able to find a space where they felt safe to be able to just get it wrong, or you know, just to go wild and bring some chaos. And because it is a very like heavily male centric space. Game shops traditionally are. They still are now. So it's about providing that space for people who want to feel safe and access it, and you know, get to play more.
Opportunity.
So that is very much they're amazing.
Yeah.
The things they do.
I can tell that you're proud of it, and I like how your face lit up talking about it. And I just want to say, like, I want to say thank you, probably from those people, for making it. You're responsible for creating that space.
Yeah.
If you know, it's nice to find a space, but if you got the power to create it yourself, that's the next level. Yeah.
I'm so blessed with the community that we're in, because I have an amazing. There's another Dungeon Master who runs that with me, Gigi, and she is amazing. So she comes with and helps me out, and we've created our own story for the women's night.
Cool.
And we have a very chaotic approach to that night, and we have it so we can be all together in a huge table, massive group, or we can split off into two more like normal size adventuring parties for different side quests and things. And she helps me manage that. She's even more experienced, much more experienced Dungeon Master than I am, and she has showed me loads and taught me loads and guided me as well, which has been amazing.
That's incredible.
And I've only known her a short amount of time. This is the thing with having here. It's
I think with creative interests, you make friends much faster than vanilla friendships form, right? You know, like workmates or whatever. When two weirdos enter a room and you realise you're in a room with a weirdo,
it's brilliant.
Straight away it's on, isn't it?
It is the best feeling ever. Absolutely.
My people.
Yeah.
Come here. Yeah, I get it.
I will dump all my information on you.
That's it. Yeah. Hey guys, it's me again. I just wanted to say, if you are enjoying what you're listening to so far, and I hope you do, I do have another episode available, which I'm going to drop you a cheeky little trailer for right now. Go over and check that one out too. I really enjoyed making that one. I hope you do too. Peace and love. See you later. Bye.
No, I don't. My name's Chris Conway. We'll just slide that casually in.
You need to put a trigger warning on this. I've just realised.
I was in MBE in 2018. Went to the palace to meet the king and Princess Anne, and I was petrified. The bathroom has like a Western style door, but a padded one that's magnets. Like our cutlery was wooden, I like making bad decisions. I'm extremely good at it. It's a skill of mine. Right now, I want to jet ski. No one was going to tell me otherwise. Yeah. So I checked into my tent, and yeah, that's when the real journey began.
Man, I knew this discussion was going to be interesting. I didn't give it this interesting, this quick, this early.
Oh, this is
about
gonna
a
be
hot start.
Yes.
Okay.
Pardon the pun. That's why mental health is a problem. So that changed my life. That blew my mind. And I come across this school in the north, and what happened next really kind of made me think where I'm at. And off the back of that, I got awarded an MBE. So
I'll tell you what, let's call it a break there.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to it. Tell me about a moment that stuck with you. Maybe a gaming session that hit emotionally, or just something that made you. This was for both you and James's question. That made you both step back and go, "We're in the right place. We're doing what we're meant to be doing." Is there a moment or a couple of moments you can describe to us that really made you realise, I'm so glad we did this because look at that?
Yeah. So I think James won't mind me at all speaking to him in this way, is that this is his first experience actually working hands-on with kids and young people.
Right.
And running stuff for them. And he absolutely couldn't believe how amazing he was at it. I knew he would be.
Yeah.
I knew he would be. I knew he'd be great. He's a fantastic and he's an amazing dad.
Yeah.
Right? And being in this space for both of us as well, we've had so many young people who have come in here and they're, like I touched on before, that are socially anxious or struggle to find where they fit. Yeah. We've got kids that come here who are select mutes out in the rest of the world that don't really want to interact and speak with people, who don't have a lot of confidence in themselves and who they are. And it's been things that parents have said to us about how amazed their kids were coming to this space, finding other people that they fit in with, finding people that they can have a laugh with about things they find funny and not just the generic kind of spiel of young people. That has been a massive thing. And then probably for myself, my women's group. Absolutely, it's just a joy.
I can imagine. I'm like quite kind of jealous that I'm masculine presenting actually, because it sounds good.
We have other things too, don't you worry. That is just once a month that we do that, because we have a lot of mums in the room.
It's not very inclusive if you don't let men in.
Oh, it's one night a month. But we do
joke,
have,
by the way, viewers. That was a joke.
We do have loads of other stuff too. So a big thing for James has been developing the community around Warhammer.
Okay.
So get all games workshop kind of stuff. He played when he was a young lad. He was, loved it, absolutely loved it. And then teenage years. We're all wild and free as teenagers. And you tend to come away from those kind of nerdy hobbies. You feel like you might be judged or whatever the reasons are. For him, and then he got back into it. He was getting back into it when I had the print dungeon and was doing the convention scene. And then when we got here, obviously that's absolutely spring rocketed him back into doing that. And the community he has built himself for our Warhammer club that we do once a week is insane. They are a big group of people that most of them didn't know each other before they came here.
Right.
And now they have this insanely thriving WhatsApp group that me and some of the other halves of those that go there have joked that if we weren't aware it was a Warhammer group, we would probably think they were having it away with someone else.
Or something like that.
But they all absolutely vibe off each other, and again, they really support each other. We've had a lot of guys and people that have joined that group that have had bad experiences elsewhere, where things have been too competitive, or you've had people that have been like, you can't do that, this is the rule, and really kind of judgmental spaces, and that's not what we want. We want to have the space to be really inclusive of everybody, and everyone to feel comfortable to get it wrong, but it's okay, it's not a big deal.
That room to make an error is a really important piece of space to give any human, I think, especially if you're in a nurturing role, whatever you want to do, and this is one of them. Because it's hard to learn anything new is intimidating, and to try anything new is like sometimes frowned upon, or just depending what your history is or culture you come from, places you lived and whatever. It is so hard. So creating that safe space that invites people in It is amazing, and it's clearly getting results from everything you're describing, and I think that's just really wholesome and heartwarming. Thank you.
Well, this is it. His group, they have this. We move all our tables around all the time in our space to be able to accommodate different groups and different things they want to do. And now, I think he said they have so many different games on the go. They have so many different systems on the go. So there's always something to join.
Yeah.
Even if like you're not. So a lot of places could be just all 40k or just Horus Heresy, which is all different games within the 40k like,
under
universe,
the umbrella
within,
of the Warhammer
like,
umbrella.
Warhammer universe. And he's kind of provided this space where these little like pockets of people that all want to play different things have now got a space to come and play all different things. And then the hobbying that's going on. Oh my God, the skill level of these guys that have been coming down and creating things is insane.
So it's just, you're generating growth as well for people, isn't it? You're giving them that space to grow.
A big part of like hobbying with Warhammer is that quite often people say they've got their pile of shame or their shelf of shame or their box of shame.
Right, okay.
And these are the things they've bought and not painted.
Right.
Okay. So James's spin on this is it's actually it's a pile of opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a pile of opportunity. And what he's found as well is that having the club there means that people are bringing these things down that they've had sat there for ages, not getting around to painting them.
Yeah.
And they're getting things done and they're feeling a sense of achievement and then they're all like encouraging each other and teaching each other different techniques that they know.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Watching them bounce off each other, just watching that energy come back into people's soul, come back into them, like. Yeah.
They've had a new phrase come out this week, and I'm sure. So we have there's a great guy that comes down who's called Ben, who is the husband of one of my best friends growing up,
cool.
And he's been so passionate about it coming down, and he's been learning all these different painting techniques. So they now have a phrase which is "Be more Ben."
Be more Ben. Yeah, be more Ben.
Which is ace. I love that.
We should all learn to be more Ben.
Yeah.
Just try something new or try something old. Just try something.
Just try something. Just go for it. Get involved. Yeah. So this is the thing. It's really growing so well in the direction we wanted to, and it's not just us that are doing it though. It's the people that have got involved and the community that's helped us, and we've got so many amazing people in our community that have stepped up and given time and given energy and helped us.
It's amazing to see what people will become just given that bit of belonging, bit of encouragement, and a bit of room to grow, and all of a sudden the shy kid at the back of the class becomes a leader in certain activities. And that's like the little success story I always love to see when I worked in education. Well,
we had a couple of weeks ago we had our free RPG day, which is a global initiative that you can sign up to, and we pay for like a big box of goodies, and we basically put on a free day, and we had all of our lots of different games masters came down and ran all these different systems. And we started at 1:00, so we had our kids club in the morning till 12. We had a little hour to kind of get us up. At 1:00 we started our free RPG day, and this whole space was full. So every table was full like that. Wow. Even the outdoors table was full of people playing the Monty Python RPG.
Right.
And
there's a Monty Python
There's
RPG?
a Monty Python RPG.
Okay, wow.
Yes, it's amazing. It sounds so funny.
Are you allowed to mention the war?
Do you know, the best bit for me was when I nipped outside and I was just stood there kind of checking up on messages and things. I got on my phone, and from the table all I could hear was "Nee, nee, the Knights of Nee," and I was pissing myself laughing. It was so funny.
I can imagine. Wow.
So funny. So that was huge for us because it's the first. We've just had our kind of little first birthday, our official but not celebrated first birthday. We're looking at doing something soon.
Okay.
So we've only been here for that year, so it's the first time we've done free RPG day, and I was like, I am just gonna get people here. So we had all these amazing games masters that were here, and I was like, we'll just see what happens. We'll let people know it's on. And honestly, it was overwhelming. The amount of people that came down and took part in the day.
Because it's hard to get people to show up for anything.
It's amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is it. And considering, so we found with a lot of events like that, you say to get people to show up, like a lot of things you would charge for things, and when they've paid for a ticket, they've committed. So anything that's free, it's always like, are people going to come?
Yeah.
But no, I think we had about 50 people through the space.
That's insane.
Which was so cool.
Yeah.
in like a few short hours. Like that
Yeah.
was just so,
How many of
so
those
cool.
were new people as well? Like, people you've
Quite
not
a
met
few.
before? Yeah, that's
quite
even
a few
better.
new people. We even had a young lad came down who he really struggles himself with social anxiety, and he came down just to kind of check out what was going on.
Yeah.
We managed to coax him onto a table,
Yeah.
and he absolutely loved it. And he's like said he's going to come back for more. And then we started talking about all sorts. Started talking about history, and he knew everything.
Right.
Everything about history.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's not even like an understatement.
Yeah.
Or an overstatement. He was awesome once he got comfortable, and all of a sudden he was chatting away. You know, so
Yeah.
that was another big, massive win moment for us.
Yeah. Those you can't. I don't know. It's hard to describe, isn't it? It's a feeling that's like money can't buy that. That just happens through. If you really want a forced pun, it's almost by magic. Through you creating something. You got to create space, create energy, and allow people into it, and then just watch them go. Whether it takes a month or a minute, it can do both, can't it? But
100%.
they shoot off, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So we were just talking about how if you give people the space to grow, and you nurture them with the love and energy that humans just need, they can become anything they want to be, and it's great to see that unfold before your own eyes. One of my listeners, my good friend Alex, actually, has a question that she wanted me to ask you, which is, if you were in a fantasy world and you had to choose a class from any universe, what would you be and why?
That is a tough one. So, in all honesty, the character that I am playing at the moment, I adore her. And I think I would probably choose to be her.
Right.
If I could.
Okay.
She's pretty cool. So she's called Glow.
Glow?
She's called Glow. She is based on the character Vi from League of Legends, if you've seen...
I haven't played League of Legends,
Arcane.
but I think I know the... Yeah. The character you mean from Arcane,
So she's based on Vi that's got the big gauntlets.
Yeah.
But she is she's Starborn race, which is a homebrew race. So she's been born from the stars. When there's been wars up there, the stars have fallen and these creatures have come from them. And so she is Starborn. And when she started off in the campaign, she was a monk, which she still partly is.
Yeah.
She hits hard.
I like the unarmed monk build. You're not got to worry about picking up a good sword, right? Just punch shit.
Well, she actually has these very special wooden knuckle dusters that have been created and infused with cold magic, which is really cool. But I decided I wanted to multi-class my character. So she is a monk and a druid in one.
Cool.
So I have the benefits of all this kind of really nature-based magic. But then I can punch like crazy.
Yeah.
There's been some really fun moments in our game, and I kind of have created this thing where now if I am really staring at my character sheet too hard and umming and ahhing too much, my DM kind of looks at me and goes, "What are you planning?"
Yeah.
There's
mischief loaded.
Oh, honestly, she's a Glow can bring all the mischief. From making an entire group of apes just let loose around a city to collect parts for our little gnome artificer to be able to create loads of new things. She has done all sorts. I'm pretty sure she was one of the final hits when we fought a big purple dragon.
Cool.
And I was just like, I'm done with this fight. I'm going over and I'm gonna just punch it. And that happened. She is. I feel like she channels me and kind of allows me to go full chaos and go full warrior in game. Yeah. Because we can't live that life. We can't go around hitting
we
people.
All want to, no, it's a very frowned upon.
Yeah, and in
Don't
real life I am quite a pacifist, I will say.
Yeah.
But in the game...
escapism element, isn't it? But there's also that in a lot of creative pursuits, I used to be involved in wrestling a lot, and one of the main things in wrestling is if you can find something that's just you but turned up to 11, you're all right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like D&D 11 is the starting number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That dial will keep on spinning if you've got the imagination.
This is it. This is the thing, and I think for me with Glow, she she's been on a journey because she died. She died, very sadly died in a moment. And there was a malevolent god present who made a bargain with her for her soul to bring her back. And so she was allowed to come back to this plane of existence within our world. Yeah. And in doing so, this created a load of new challenges for her because she now had no soul. And she was now...
is this how you become a warlock sometimes?
Well,
is that, or no? I'm confused and I don't want to oust
your warlock
myself
would be
here.
your class that you get to choose.
Right.
This is more... This was like a lovely bit of flavour that our Dungeon Master added in.
Yeah.
Allowing me to come back. You know, I am all for, if your character dies, it is a game at the end of the day. However you love, how much you love that character, it's died. He allowed her to come back.
Right.
And when she came back, because she has like a glow to her, her glow started to slightly change colour.
Okay.
And she started to do some things that maybe she shouldn't have, like attack her own party secretly at times.
Okay.
And argue with those within her party because she wanted a certain item that this malevolent god was talking to her about and telling her that he needed. And so she wanted it for him. Because she's born from the stars. She had no parents, so there's a few daddy issues going on there.
There's a cocktail, isn't there, for what a person. Yeah.
And she went on this journey where she started to transition a little bit from being a chaotic good character into being a bit more neutral, and then possibly dipping her toes into the evil side of things by doing certain actions. But then the kind of this whole working together as a group, as a team, getting through these challenges together has brought her back and has brought back the side of it where she's so committed. I've got goose pimples talking about it. I love her so much. Has brought her back to being committed to the group that she's with. So in this final boss scene that we're in at the moment, there are lots of allies that we have collected upon the way.
Yeah.
One of them is this amazing little goblin called Snafu.
Right.
And Snafu is my little Bezzy mate. I love Snafu. And me and Snafu have exchanged meat in my salted beef from my boots.
Okay.
I collected some salted beef that was really good in my boots at one point.
Oh,
and,
right, okay, yeah.
That was...
I don't know why it didn't make perfect sense at first. It just made me pause.
To be fair, it's an unusual statement to make, I suppose. He has given me little artifacts that he's found. He's just been this gorgeous little idiot kind of along the way. And on our way into this final boss scene, he was hit by some things and he went down and he nearly died.
No.
So going into this scene, this malevolent god is still about and has tasked me to do something in exchange for giving me a certain amount of power that I could spend as I saw fit, basically. Okay. And we got in there and I said, put that power in Snafu. And he said, all of it? And I said, yes, every single bit of that power into Snafu. Which changed Snafu into this huge, giant, absolutely massive goblin. He then got a spell from a wand of wonder cast upon him, and he became a huge, giant lionin, which is a huge lion, human-ish, humanoid creature.
Okay, like a werewolf, but a lion?
Sort of.
With transform?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But massive, and then I cast an enlarge spell on him, so then he was 40 foot tall.
Oh my God, I was going to say.
Yeah, and I got a very special saddle. Glow has got a very special saddle called the Saddle of the Cavalier, and she put it on Snafu, and then basically...
Your mount is now a 40-foot goblin.
A massive, lion goblin creature. So this is the chaos that I managed to get up to when we play. But Glow has actually been on this journey where she made a bit of a speech before they went in. She's willing to sacrifice herself for her friends. You know, they're the only family she's ever really known. Yeah. So she's mine, wonderful, and I'm going to be so upset when we finish.
It sounds like it, yeah. The finality when you beat that boss, if you beat that boss, when the end of this story happens, that's got to be a character that's hard to put down.
Yeah.
So, I'm just asking this personally because I'm intrigued now. So, generally speaking, if your character dies, they die, and do you just write a new character up when you come to your next session or whatever?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. You would just write a new character up. If they die, they die.
Right.
Unless there's something that brings them back.
Yeah.
So there are spells and things.
Because you said this campaign had been going on for like 3 years now, which blew my mind.
3.5 years, which is mad.
That's
We've
crazy.
had a couple of breaks.
I can't find a
things.
one shot to do. I'm struggling. I might not get through a whole one shot. You've been playing for 3 years.
We've had some breaks in between here and there. We've had some people leave the group and then some new people join the group. It has been quite fluid in that way.
Like being in a band.
Yeah, literally like being in a
Sack
band.
the drummer.
Yeah. So it's very much been like that. But I think that's given us this aspect of wider creativity because we all play differently than each other. We all have very different characters. And our DM is very, very good at bringing the things that have been created back into it. So at the minute, some of our allies are characters of people that have left us.
Okay, right.
The actual big bad that we're fighting was a lad that's in our party. It was his old character from a previous campaign.
Cool. So you take your own lore along with you, right?
Oh, 100%.
That's
Yeah.
amazing,
There's all sorts of things you can do because this world that we play in is a world that he's created. That Dungeon Master, like Jam, he's created that world. So that's where it is, and he has said as well that later on, if we get together and play as a group again, and carry it on, then the characters that we've previously played with will likely come into it in some way.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it could be that the next campaign set years and years down the line.
Yeah.
Hundreds of years perhaps. But then our characters have become almost like myths and legends stories.
That's it. Yeah. They transcend, and then you start anew, but with the familiar character.
Literally. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's a really nice way to do it when you are a long-term dungeon master, is to bring all these things in, and be able to remember the previous characters. But yeah, it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. It's so creative.
Also, just while I'm on the subject of dungeon masters and things that they can sort of do and allow, then I remember reading somewhere as well. As I said, I played Baldur's Gate 3 for a long time. And in some of the forums when I was looking around, someone said, playing it digitally is great, but go and play it in real life, because sometimes the game will give you just a run of like really bad dice. But this post in particular, I've always remembered it because I found it interesting. It was like a good DM will know that you're having some really shit rolls and find ways to ease it. To not make it so brutal, because it might be you roll a 1, it's game over, reload your last save sort of thing, but that doesn't work in a party. But the DM might find ways to turn that bad luck into something that's more advantageous for you. And is that the power of a DM as well? Is that
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I mean, the thing is something could go wrong in one part of it.
Yeah.
You could have, but that adds then to what happens next.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time it's about that. And even if you roll terribly, something hilarious could happen.
Yeah.
If you critical fail and roll that 1 and you've said all these things you want to do. Oh, I've got a great example of this actually.
Okay.
So one of the guys that he's not playing with us at the moment. His character's in with us, but he's not playing with us at the moment. He was this cleric that would go on these religious rants and things.
Yeah.
And he went on this huge rant. He'd like planned this whole speech to convince some people to do something for him. And it was like, he stood up. He had this whole thing. And he went on, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And then our dungeon master said, roll for it. And he rolled and he got a nat 1, which is a critical fail.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, they've not listened.
They weren't even. They were all looking at their phones.
It added to the story so much because
yeah.
it was just so funny. It added to his character that he would, he would get this. He'd be so passionate, but then just wouldn't be heard.
People just wouldn't.
Which is life, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, it writes a parallel
Yeah.
for an exaggerated version of something that probably happens to us all once a week.
And then us as a party were his group. We were his support. We may not follow the same God as him in the game. We may not be even remotely religious in the game. But we're there for him.
Yeah.
He failed and we supported him. As a group. So it's these little moments that you kind of really hold on to, but everything is a parallel for life, everything within the game.
There's a lot of
so
metaphor to it, isn't there? The more we discuss it and the more I've been involved in it, and I do think that's probably just one of the great bits of enjoyment. It's like you said right at the beginning, there's so much real life things that you can learn in a game of D&D while it's disguised as fantasy and storytelling, but there's real life application, like you said about talking to people in taverns, shopping in shops, working out discounts, all that kind of stuff. It's selling it to me massively, obviously, and I'm already sold.
And
but
it's
I
all
can't.
about pushing that creativity. I think something really good to think about with if you're talking about a good games master, or a good dungeon master, someone that makes you feel really part of that storyline, also would very, 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 very rarely say no to something.
Right.
You know, it's about, well, how would you do that?
Because it's improv as well, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of it. And the rule of improv is yes and.
Yeah. So the thing is like, if you were like, oh, this is the rule for this spell, but can I just do this? It's like, well, that's not the rule for the spell. That's not the mechanics. But if you were in game and you said, okay, bear for me to use an example, I think. So, for example, this was in a previous one. I was a bard and I'd acquired this potion. I was like, if I use my loot as a sort of kind of catapult item, do I still get my proficiency bonus to it? So I can still add extra points to my dice roll to keep it higher.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, and it's like, he was like, okay. And I had this polyjuice potion on the end of it, and literally just, I rolled well through it. This huge purple, I think it was purple, blue spider that had come across the horizon. It was coming to get us. It was a huge mini. It was supposed to be a big thing. And the polyjuice potion hit it and transformed it into an orc.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes when you think outside the box and you're really creative with what you want to do, and you ask, can I? And then it's about the DM saying, well, how would you do that? Or how is this going to work? Or why would you do that? You know, and my reasoning as the bard would be, well, it's a bard. They kind of do what they want. They are chaotic. They're there to help the party. So they give lots of help to the party rather than being a direct combat. So that was, my reasoning. Another one, I've got a young lad who plays with my teenage group on a Sunday. And he is an artificer and he can make infusions. And he's got this hammer, this big war hammer that he wanted to come back to him, a bit like Thor's hammer. But it can only go a certain distance away. Now, he also has a spell called Catapult, and he was wondering if he could use them both together. But in order to cast certain things, you have to have both hands free. So I said, well, if you can create something that straps your, if he lets go of the item to cast Catapult, it no longer has the infusion of coming back to him.
Yeah.
Right? So this is where things tie in with each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if you create something, if you can design something that your character would have that can be made for your character, that would allow your character to be hands-free cast but still have it on their person, then and he came back the next week with a full-on technical drawing of this item that straps his hammer to him in order for him to cast
so
Catapult.
That he can be hands-free
so
and
now,
catapult.
So now that hammer can literally go absolutely distance. It can go
and
so
return.
far and then return to him.
Like full Milner build.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about that creativity. So if a good dungeon master allows you to be creative, but also encourages you to say why. Why would you do that? How would you do that?
I was thinking just then when you were talking, this problem, so another real life mechanic that is useful out of this is problem solving, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so interesting, like I said before, working with different people and seeing how different people do things. Because we have different people that run games within here, and we have like groups that like the chaos, like silly, but we also have groups that like to role play more of a serious game.
Okay.
So like another example of a game at the minute is by two members of our amazing community that have got a game which follows a system called GURPS, and it's all about a police group, and it's set over in America, and it's all about kind of like gang wars within this town.
Okay, yeah.
But they're the police, they're the cops.
Right.
So they're going and they're investigating these crimes. Some of them might have informants somewhere. Some of them might, have certain like expertise in negotiating. And they basically go around the city and they investigate quite serious crimes.
Right.
And are able to kind of try and work
And is that
out.
a game that uses the sort of D&D mechanics? When you say system, you've said system a few times, right? So is it that just the rules of each game, how it works?
Yeah, so it's when I'm talking about systems or the game mechanics, it's different games have different dice. So D&D is probably the most rule-heavy game.
Yeah.
With your set of dice is your polyhedral dice.
Yeah.
And you've got 7 dice within there.
I was going to say, is it 6 or 7 in a full D&D? 7, right.
Yeah, so you have 7 dice within there that do all different things. Your main dice in Dungeons & Dragons is your D20.
Yeah.
But in something like Call of Cthulhu, it's a completely different system.
Right.
So the game mechanics of that is that you would roll your statistics give you a certain number, and you have to roll underneath that number, which is 1 different because most games you roll above. You have to roll higher.
Yeah, you're
the
trying
better.
to roll low this time. Okay.
And your score on a stat is out of 100. So the higher your score is, the better you are at that skill.
Yeah.
But then you have to roll under that number. So you use dice that would equal like a D100. So a percentage dice goes up in tens.
Oh, right.
And
okay.
a D10. So you roll those 2 together to get your final number.
And your multiple and your percentage.
Yeah, you do have D100 dice, but they're huge and they're not always very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you roll those 2 together to get your number, and you're going for underneath.
Right.
And Cthulhu is then, you would roll a certain other dice for if you've got a weapon attack that is equal to 1d6. So D6 is your normal dice.
Yeah.
You get in most of your games.
Dice sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the one. But different weapons to hit once you've hit someone to do the damage, you're gonna have to roll different dice for your damage because
that's right. This is where you like 1 to 4 fire damage comes in and stuff. Right?
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
What you mean?
Yeah. But there's so many different systems. So I'm currently running a game of the Marvel RPG.
Right.
That one uses 3 d6s. That's it.
Oh, okay.
And you have 2 that are the same, and you have 1 that's different, and that different one, that is your Marvel dice, and interacts in different ways with each other.
Yeah.
Depending on what you roll with them.
Right. Okay. So it's not so much. What am I trying to say? It's not like one size fits all. There's a lot to learn depending on what you want to go and.
There are hundreds of systems out there. So
right.
we do a lot. We sell a lot of RPGs and games that are made by small creators.
Right.
So by like games designers that have done it for themselves. They might have done a Kickstarter, or they might have a small publishing company. We work with small publishing companies as well, and we have a lot of stock that we get, and they have crazy amounts of systems.
Yeah.
So one really great example is Critical Kit. They're an amazing little gaming company and publisher, and they have a game called Punk is Dead, which I love running so much. You get to be a band.
Cool.
So you're all different instruments, and it's post-apocalyptic.
Oh, wow, okay.
And the only thing that brings people together now is music.
Nice.
So the only safe places are in the clubs or anywhere where there's a gig going on.
Okay.
And anywhere else,
nope.
It's not a happy place.
Right, okay.
They've created this amazing world. With that one again, it's D6s you're using.
Right.
And there's all these amazing weird creatures and things within it. And
right, yeah.
It's
so
set,
you really
it's set in the UK actually.
Beginner kind of stuff then, you just need a set of dice depending on what game you want to play.
Well,
right?
It's interesting you should say that, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and there's a group over in America that are currently creating some systems where you can use anything for a dice. Because a dice is really, this is what they were telling me, is a dice is really, when you roll something, it's always going to land a certain amount of different ways. Yeah,
it's a fixed, what's the scientific mathematical term? It'd be a fixed probability randomizer, right? From a given number of results.
Exactly.
But only that number of results.
That is what a dice is. Yeah. So if you were to get any item at all...
Like a coin. Coin's a two-sided dice.
Coin's two-sided dice.
Yeah.
If you were to get a toy, so say you picked up... I'm trying to think of something.
Looking for examples.
Trying to think of something. What about, so Jurassic Park's big at the minute, which had the new film come out.
Yeah.
If you had a little dinosaur toy at home, if you roll that across the floor, there's only going to be a certain amount of different ways that toy is going to land.
Yeah.
So if you do a bit of an experiment with that toy and see all the different ways that that's going to land, record that, and then you know all the different ways it's going to land. You know kind of a probability of it landing different ways.
Yeah.
So you can create a system around that, really.
Yeah.
That you could say, right, well, if you roll it and it lands on this side, that is this kind of success.
Or, or you got away.
Yeah. But there could be a really rare way that it lands. And if you roll it that way, something amazing is going to happen.
Yeah.
So there are all these different dice out there, but realistically, you could make anything into a dice.
So what you're saying is anything's a dice if you're brave enough.
Exactly. If you're willing to let someone throw it around a room, anything is a dice.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can do it. It literally is just working with probability.
Cool, yeah.
All right, folks, that concludes the first half of my adventure with Rosy from Red Wizard. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It was awesome. And we talk even more in part 2 about their upcoming event, Lytham's Fantasy Fayre. Much more information on that in episode 2, so come and join us. There should be a link on your screen now if I've done my job right. And until I speak to you again, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Peace.